The following is a conversation with Mr. Francisco Monge Roman from Costa Rica. Mr. Francisco is a practicing occupational therapist, president of the Occupational Therapy Association in Costa Rica, a professor and researcher at Santa Paula University, a recent treasurer and occupational therapy representative at the board of directors at College of Therapists of Costa Rica. Let's welcome Mr. Francisco and discuss about occupational therapy in this beautiful country with incredible natural wonders and rich biodiversity. Occupational Therapy Around the Globe series is created with an intention to foster global communication in the occupational therapy world. Each episode will feature a guest or delegate representing their country. The discussions are purposefully driven to understand occupational therapy from the country's perspective, specifically surround the topics of history of occupational therapy, the awareness levels in the country, what does OT education entail, the licensure, a scope of practice, the current situation of the profession in the country, and future of occupational therapy. So welcome, President Monge. Welcome to Nourish by Near podcast.
Thank you for this opportunity. I hope it's going well and talking about our profession, this lovely profession called occupational therapy, and we're speaking about our history here in Costa Rica.
Sure, yes. But you have multiple roles, you do many things at a time. So let's start with a little bit of what you do in Costa Rica as an OT.
Okay, well, I'm an occupational therapist since 2015. I work for a foundation. It's a private foundation, but it's also administered by the Public Education Ministry. I work with adults with some intellectual disabilities, and I'm their occupational therapist. So also, I'm the president of the Occupational Therapy Association, and I'm also a professor at Santa Paula University.
So you work in all different aspects, on different roles as such.
Yeah, my job actually is working with these people at the foundation. That is my actually job from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. But also I try to get involved in other activities that have to be with occupational therapy, such as educating students in this occupational therapy world. And also I am the president of the association since 2021 in order to also put some of my knowledge so the occupational therapy in Costa Rica can grow more, right?
Sure, of course. We need young leaders like you. So give me a little bit of a brief history of how did occupational therapy, how and why did it start in Costa Rica?
Well, occupational therapy, to talk of occupational therapy here in Costa Rica, we have to talk since 1994, but before that, there were some events in our society that bring up to Santa Paula University, that is the currently and the only university that have an education program. But it starts in the 20th century, in the earliest years of that century, when in Costa Rica, as a Latin American country, we have social problems in health, in education, in employment, justice, and in social protection. There were wars, there were displaced people, there were a lot of things occurring those days that make the government try new strategies to improve the health and the social and the quality of life of the people, right, here in Costa Rica. In 1950s and 1970s, in Costa Rica, started to improve the rehabilitation model for Latin America. And it was one of the first countries to have rehabilitation professionals here in our country. But when in South America, there were starting some of the first OT programs in the universities here in Costa Rica. We didn't have the people to study occupational therapy. So it was until 1970s, 1973, that Spain gave some scholarships for people who wanted to study OT to go to Spain and come back. For people graduated from OT program in Spain and come back to work in important institutions, health institutions, and start like making some path and trying to educate the people that occupational therapy was a real profession and there were another professional in the teamwork, right, in rehabilitation area. But we only had 4 in that decade. We only have 4 occupational therapists for all the population. In 1980, 1983, the Universidad de Costa Rica start a technical education program, but it has only 1 promotion, and it were like only 9 professionals in occupational therapy in 1987. In 1987, something like that, because of a new alliance between Costa Rican government and international policies in relation with the need of rehabilitation professionals in our country, the government started to educate some scholar teachers in rehabilitation like PT, OT, and speech and language, because they don't were like the people or the resources to have professionals studying here in Costa Rica. So we get to 1994, where Santa Paula University started, and it was the first Central American country to open an education program in bachelor's and license degree in 1994. And in 1998, we have our first promotion of professionals in OT. And then Santa Paula University marks like a start in education, in training, and educating professionals in rehabilitation areas, not only OT, but PT and speech and language, audiology, respiratory therapy, and others. And we think in 1994 it start the real story of occupational therapy here in Costa Rica, because since then it has been a development of the career and the profession in order to grow as a number of professionals and growth in different areas where the professionals can work, right? I think in this century, 21st century, more of the occupational therapists graduated from the university, established their work in some of other institutions, governmental institutions. And in 2006, it started as a union of the professionals, start to knock the door of CLATO, that is the Latin American Conference of Occupational Therapy. And they try to copy the good practices of occupational therapy in South America. So we start like having more evidence of how Colombia, Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Brazil, and these other countries were working on how was their experience in all this history of having the first schools of occupational therapy, of having a number of professionals, and how was this way. And we start to copy these good practices. And in the last years, we have achieved so many goals to the people know that in Costa Rica we have occupational therapy and we have quality in the professionals that are working in with people and the communities. In 2015, we have here in Costa Rica the Congress of CLATO, the CLATO Congress. We have like 70 presentations of people around the world. We have also in this Congress create the Latin American network of students of occupational therapy. And it was like a goal for Costa Rica because it was here. The idea were born here, and now it's a reality for all the students to be like to have their own union as a student and then have the reunion when they graduated from the university. And also in the next years, in 2016, Costa Rica get the approved to be part of the WFOT. And in 2022, we have the approval of the education program from Santa Paula University. So we are a full member since then in the
Congratulations.
WFOT. Thank you. It has been like a lot of working, a lot of years, a lot of people in this process. But there were like the goals we established so many years ago, and we are having now the achievement of getting and to see the reality of occupational therapy nowadays.
It does sound like you accomplished a lot of goals in such a short span of time for the profession, in Costa Rica as such. A very interesting history, though. There's been many changes, and you try to learn from different countries around Costa Rica and try to replicate or implement the evidence-based practices. So, from the time it started and to now, what changes have you seen in Costa Rica in terms of awareness among people?
Well, I think people are still confused about what is occupational therapy, but in these old years, we have been or trying to be strategic with some partners and in social media, and having this congress where people can be part of and can talk about occupational therapy. I think. Yes.
So I was just going to ask, why do you think is there not much awareness about occupational therapy in general population as such?
I think in the first years when Costa Rica started with all the rehabilitation professionals, they center their vision in the medical treatment, not in the rehabilitation treatment, right? In the third attention system where the rehabilitation is. So the people didn't know about these professionals. They trust and care in the doctor and in the nurse and in the dentist, but they don't know what the occupational therapy or therapists do. So I think it's like a social education problem. They don't know when to visit the therapist until they have a disability, until they have a condition in their health or in the quality of life. So I think it's that, and we're working in this right now because it's really important to the people to know what is occupational therapy and when to visit the occupational therapist. We're using, I said, strategic partners like TV shows or the social media, the Congress, and some days that are important here, like Autism Day or Down Syndrome Day, or even the Congress of Autism and Down Syndrome. We try to have these spaces to talk about occupational therapy and how important is in the people and in the communities.
Sure. So what motivated you? What was your motivation to pursue occupational therapy as a career?
Well, since I was really young, I think I have an emotion, I want to serve. I want to help others. I want to be part of the rehabilitation process of someone to be better, to improve their health. I think there was the motivation to help others. I wanted also to help my parents in those days because they were into some surgeries. So I visualized the rehabilitation process, and I wanted to be the professional that helped someone to be better and to improve in their life. So I think that was the motivation.
Yeah, the inspiration came from your home. So
yeah.
Like if somebody wants to pursue OT, any student in Costa Rica looking for a career profession, right? So if somebody wants to pursue occupational therapy, how and where and when do they start?
Well, here in Costa Rica, we only have one university that has the program. So the first step is to contact San Paulo University, the School of Occupational Therapy. They will give you all the information of the program.
Is there any like a prerequisite or any pre-preparations required before somebody wants to pursue the course?
No, the only requirement is to present your title of high school education. So that's basically the only requirement.
Yeah.
You have to be graduated from high school, get to the university with the title, and do the payments, right?
Sure.
It's a private university, so the government doesn't have like a program for occupational therapy as well in a public university, so you have to pay for your education. Yeah.
So like what is this course structure then? How long is the course? And do the university offer like different levels, masters, bachelors, or is it like a bachelor's program only right now?
Yeah, they have like 2 years and 8 months for the bachelor's degree and 1 year more for the license degree.
Okay.
It's like the level you need to work as an occupational therapy here in Costa Rica.
Interesting.
Yeah, we don't have like a master's degree requirement. And for people who want to continue studying, they have to look for other countries, like the possibility to go to other country or maybe have like the master's degree by Zoom or by conference, because here in Costa Rica we don't have like the like the possibility to have like a master's degree, even though we have like other courses where the people can specialize in some topic like hand rehabilitation or chest syndromes or other as well.
So you mentioned about the 1 year for licensing if somebody wants to practice. So after they're done with the bachelor's, is there like a 1 year of an extra study for the licensure?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's part of the graduate degree. It's like 2 years and 8 months for the bachelor's and 1 year more for the license, but all are included in the graduate degree of occupational therapy here in Costa Rica. Yeah,
Sure.
it's because they are like separate, but it's the same.
It's together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's together.
Yeah, wow, this is very unique. Like, I haven't heard about such a course structure. So, this is something new for me to learn as well. As a president of the association, what are your goals for the profession in the next 3 years?
Well, we need more students. We need more professionals in occupational therapy. I think we have some challenges like create more evidence-based research here in Costa Rica, create more education programs, not only for private universities, but for public universities, people who don't have like the resources to pay for their education have the opportunity to go to a public university and say, hey, I want to study occupational therapy too. So I think this is one of the challenge that public education have to work into having their own program for occupational therapy. I think more postgraduate or education, like the master's degree, PhD in occupational therapy here in Costa Rica, I think it's challenging, but it's the future of our career here in Costa Rica. Other challenges, I think, more connections with Plato, more connections with the WFOT in order to position OT, Costa Rican OT in the world, being part of the Congress, of the World Congress, of the Latin American Congress, and try to have like more people interest in this kind of activities and try to connect with other people and try to also talk about your experience in how is your day as an occupational therapist. And also I think one of the challenge also related with the awareness thing we were talking about we have to learn to speak the occupational therapy language.
Yeah.
We are now into talking the doctor's language, into talking the teacher's language, into talking the nurse language, but we have to start talking our occupational language so people start knowing what is occupational therapy, what is occupational science, and with what do occupational therapists do. I think that is one of the most important challenge for the future of occupational therapy, and that will bring us more opportunities for people to access the OT.
Sure, yeah. So that intrigues me. What is your occupational therapy language? How do you use it in Costa Rica?
We have to start talking about occupational justice, occupational deprivation, occupational activities. People confuse occupation with job,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But it's not only job. Job is one of our occupation as human beings, but it's not the only one. So we have to start like speaking this language in order to educate the people. Okay, occupation is the daily activities of every human being that is motivated, that is significant or relevant for the people to do it. And they are expected in the society, they are needed for the people. And we have to participate in these occupations along the lifetime, right?
Yes.
So I think this is the language, like talking about more terms in occupational with our colleagues, with other professionals in health, in education systems, and with the people, with the families, with our clients, talk more in our language.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Like try to get it more and more common in terms the use more of occupational therapy terms, make it more and more of a common language among people.
Right. Yeah.
So right now in Costa Rica, what are the different areas of practice for occupational therapy in terms of like traditional areas as well as non-traditional?
Okay. Well, in this short history of occupational therapy here in Costa Rica, we have tried to get involved in every practice that the WFOT have said occupational therapy should work. Right? We have professionals in pediatrics, in education, gerontology, sensory integration. We have more like 50 professionals in sensory integration, like specialization, mental health, ergonomics, addictions, based community rehabilitation. I was talking about our problems as a society, right? In the economic system, in the health system, education, employment, justice, and all this like history, Latin American shared. And our focus and our scope of practice is based on those problems that our society have, like addictions, the base community rehabilitation, the homeless people, the immigrants, the displaced people that are living in Costa Rica. And also professionals are involved in assistive products and technologies in their like services in order to have more possibilities for the people. I think all the services that the WFOT listed, we have professionals working in.
Oh, that is amazing. With considering the short span of history in Costa Rica. So,
and short number of professionals also.
yeah. So right now, how many OTs are there in Costa Rica?
Here in Costa Rica, we have 350 occupational therapists for 5 million population. So it's like one OT per 15,000 habitants. So it's challenging, but we are short. we need more occupational therapists in our system.
Yeah, definitely it will change in coming years. So What are the different regulatory bodies for OT in Costa Rica?
Well, we have like a law here in Costa Rica. The government supervises the professional practice by law. So every profession has their own law. In the case of therapists, is law 8989 that creates the figure of the professional association called Colegio de Terapeutas. But in this Colegio de Terapeutas, it's like a national association, but not only for OT, but also for PT, speech and language, audiology, respiratory therapy, because we are few professionals. With all these careers, I think we are in number like 5,000 professionals in all these careers, right? Five professions. So we have to be like united, the five, to have like a number so the government can supervise this practice. But each career have their own like profile and their own representative in the board of directors and have their own requirements, and it's like a independence, like every career as well, but they have to be part of the same association.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
In this association, the requirements are to have the OT degree certificated by an official university. For people studying in other countries, they must approve the request in the Costa Rican embassy to authenticate the titles. Also, they have to take a course of professional ethics and make the union payments. I think those are the requirements, and because it's by law, so you have to do it.
Yeah.
It's part of being a professional. I'm sorry. So you have to be part of this association, be clear with all their payments, and be aware of the rules of being part of this association.
So is it like a registration body? Like it gives you a registration number or some sort of a registration identification?
Right. Yeah. As I said, every career, every profession has their own like registered number. So OTs have their own like number, PTs as well, and all the other professions. Yeah.
So what is the difference between, so you said when students are studying the bachelor's program, there would be one additional year for the licensure, and then there's the body for registration. So what is the difference between both?
When I was talking about the license, this was part like in the graduate program.
Right. Yeah.
So the second is part of their education. So when they graduate in the university, they go to the Colegio and ask for the request of being part. So they present the title, present the union payments, and present the course of professional ethics. If they have all checked right, so they have like an event. So they take up some vows.
Yeah.
Like
Oath.
yeah,
Like an oath.
right. And they start their professional life. So they have all in rule, so they can start working as a therapist.
So so the licensure was the same. It's they go through Colegio for the licensure, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what are the advocacy efforts currently being taken by the profession?
Well, Colegio is one of the goals of the Colegio, the advocacy of occupational therapy. We try to get involved with the Congress, in Costa Rican Congress, in order to have like more opportunities for occupational therapists to be in different areas. In the last years, here in Costa Rica, I've been working on a law, and mental health law, a national mental health law, and we have the opportunity to work with the Congress and have share some ideas. And in the law, wherein they talk about the teamwork, which professionals should be there. They listed the occupational therapists. So it's one of our achievements in the Colegio and the advocacy, and it's one of the things they do. They try to meet the Congress and try to visualize how important is occupational therapy in different areas, and try to make it by law. So the law says occupational therapist has to be here, right? And this is the way we are working here in Costa Rica, like having some strategic planification oriented on the WHO Agenda 2030 in rehabilitation, and trying to get involved in different institutions of the government, so they see the need of having more professionals in rehabilitation in all the system, government system of Costa Rica, in health, in education, in justice, in addictions, in jails, and in all the areas possibly.
Sure. So, like as a president, I'm sure you definitely work a lot on policy efforts, on regulations in your country, and having fair practices for OT as a profession. So, have you come across any unfair practices, like where you felt like, oh, even occupational therapy as a profession should be a part of this, where, others are and OT has not been considered?
Yeah, the most common is other professionals trying to do occupational therapy,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe PTs or maybe nurses, some doctors, but I think it's because they don't know that occupational therapy exists, maybe. And these kind of things have like a legal process in here in Costa Rica. Colegio is the one who supervises this, and if they have to open a case for some professional that is doing something against the law, so they take the process, and it could be take months, years, but they have like a consequence because having these types of practice, even though they don't have the education as an occupational therapist.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So we're trying to the people be more confident, like take the time to complain or make the denunciation or the down. I'm
Yes,
being
yes,
clear,
definitely.
like
So, like, take the first step, without fear, and
right,
take action against them.
right. This is one of the goals of the colegio. People or the professionals being aware that this is your responsibility also to make the complaint as to the colegio, so the colegio can open the case and do the research and all the investigation and all the things, so they have like a consequence of their acts. But we're working on that. People are like have a lot of fear doing these things. They think like people are going to chase them or do something wrong to them, but it's not part of the process. It's we have to educate the people. This is one of our responsibility as a professional and as being member of the colegio or the national association.
So, in your point of view, where is the curve for the profession heading towards in future? Like, what is the future of occupational therapy in Costa Rica in next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think that the future is set by the agenda in rehabilitation 2030. I think the professionals have to get involved in this process because I think after the pandemic or the strong thing of the pandemic, all the nations have to like evaluate themselves and try to adapt to the new way of living, right? I think this is the moment for occupational therapy to say to the government, here we are, this is what you need, this is a different way of seeing the health system. I think the future is to get involved in this process. Not only some people, need all of them, all the professionals in OT to be part of this challenge and these all changes that it's coming, in order to have more opportunities in the future, more education, more programs, more professionals, more areas, more resources from the government to have more jobs in the institutions, and in the private sector have like the opportunity to educate the population, educate their families, to have also more opportunities, like seeing when do I have to visit occupational therapy, or when do I have to contact their services. I think the future is there. It's very clear in the agenda of the WHO. What do we have to do? We have to plan, we have to establish goals, we have to have some indicators of the success, and we have to fight also. We have good staying to fight for our rights, to fight for our development as a profession. Here in Costa Rica, I think that is to have more opportunities to be in the laws, to be more the programs in the different institutions in different areas, working with childs, working with elderly, working with adolescents or teenagers, and try to be there, right? We need more unit in the future. We need all the colleagues, all the professionals in occupational therapy to be there, and as a new unit we can be stronger and we can achieve more in different like contexts. But also we have to be organized. We don't only have to be united, we have to be organized. So we need to know what to do, or we are going to do, in order to achieve the goals, right? I think the association have established their goals, and there are only 3 goals to start like moving the people. One of the goals is academics. We have to improve the knowledge as an occupational therapist. Not only have the degree, right, for working, we have to
Have quality education.
right, and the people have to know that studying, it's not only for working. Studying is part of our lifetime. We have to study because there are every day they have more things, new things, technologies in health, and we have to be aware of these changes. Academic is one, national and international representation. We have to move the people in order to participate in Congress and in presentations around the world. And the last goal is operational growth. We have to be organized, as I said. We need to have like operational, like industry or like a business, like be organized and set all these goals to succeed and to develop, right, in the future.
Yeah, it sounds like a very specific, streamlined, and strategic plan you have in place. So, looking forward to having growth in Costa Rica for our profession.
Yeah, that's our hope, to keep growing and to have more opportunities, and the people in other countries also like know what it's Costa Rica doing in occupational therapy and in rehabilitation, and how much can Costa Rica apport or give to the other countries as well. They give us or gave us in the past with the formation, education, and like replying all these good practices. And in the future is all the way around, how Costa Rica can give to these countries the good practices, the research, the work field.
That is such a nice attitude to work for, giving back to other countries as well, while you're growing on your end. So, what would be like one takeaway you would like to give OT students or practitioners, anybody in the OT world?
Well, as a like,
Like in terms of to further our profession?
well, for all the OTs around the world, the students or professionals, I think one of the things we have in common is that we first are human being and then we are professionals.
Mm-hmm.
We have to think about it because we work with people. We
Yes.
work with a person that have like their life, their occupational elections or their occupational life. So before being occupational therapists, we need to be person first, a human being, and like in order to establish like the therapeutic relation
Mm-hmm.
with these people and try to understand all the occupational world that is around this person,
Mm-hmm.
so our work can be more grateful, I think, or more important for these people or this community. So I think this is my advice: being first human, being person, and then being a professional in
Mm-hmm.
OT. In this way, we can understand more the people, understand their choices, understand their context, understand why they behave
Mm-hmm.
this way, why they live this way, because the way they participate in their activities is occupational therapy, right? It's
Yeah.
occupation science. So in the way we can understand the way these people live or behave, we can do a better job as an occupational therapist.
That is such a wonderful message, like having that compassion and understanding as a human. I mean, yes, definitely understanding the person as a whole is a part of the profession as such. It's a client centered approach, but sometimes it's like as OTs or professionals, we maybe tend to get so much involved in, the checklist or finding the functions and things as
Right.
such, or finding the abilities and the struggles. It is very important to look from a human perspective as such,
Right.
like why are they doing this or what and how behind it. So such a good
Right.
message. So we are almost towards the end of the show. We have our game segment before we end. So we'll have a quick game. It's called the 5-second rule. So I'll
Okay.
ask you 5 questions, and you got to try to answer them within 5 seconds.
Okay. I'm gonna try.
Sure, yeah. The questions are more about Costa Rica in general as such, and not from
Okay.
the OT front. So, are you ready?
I think so.
All right. Let's start with your first question. Give me two fun facts about Costa Rica.
We are the happiest country in the world. I don't know. We have the pura vida,
What is the
pura
second
vida
one?
life. We have like a slogan in our country that it's called pura vida, that it's translated pure life. It's like
Oh,
a way of living here in Costa Rica. All is like chilling and
yeah.
like everything's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it is actually a fact that Costa Rica is like, one of the happiest countries in the world. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Not that sure, but yeah.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I did a little research about Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So, your next question, name
Okay.
the most common crop in Costa Rica,
Oh, the most common crop.
or grain, or crop, or
Oh, like rice or
yeah, I can take it.
yeah.
Rice is, yeah, rice is very common, but
Like
I came
coffee.
across, yes,
Okay. Yeah.
coffee, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't think about coffee first.
I
Yeah,
was
coffee, of
looking,
course.
but rice is really a very popular grain in Costa Rica as well.
Yeah.
So interestingly, I was researching about Costa Rica, and it says like coffee is considered the golden grain or golden crop in Costa Rica. So I found it pretty interesting.
It was the coffee plantations were the cause of the economic development in Costa Rica, and it's still being like a very important activity here in Costa Rica.
Yep. You got that though. Even rice is the most common crop. So, all right, your next question. What would you consider as one national dish or a food item in Costa Rica?
We have the casado. We have a plate that it's called casado, and it has everything. It's very common here, and it has like a smashed potato, rice, beans, contains what type of meat, salad. It's like the
A
plate
wholesome
with
plate.
all. Yeah, it's like the for lunch or for dinner here in Costa Rica. It's very common.
Oh, okay. You're doing pretty great on the questions.
Yeah,
You're answering
a
before
very
time.
yeah, very good Costa Rican.
All right, so two more questions to go, and then I have a bonus question in the end,
Okay.
since you're performing so well. So, your next question, two cultural traditions or festivals exclusive to Costa Rica.
Okay, we have in the Caribbean we have the carnivals, and in the Pacific coast we have, I don't know, some celebrations like with folklore,
Folklore.
folklore, yeah,
Like very
with
traditional.
yeah, with dancing and with the clothes and
So,
like
is there a
food
name?
based. Is in Guanacaste. It's called the Fiestas de Nicoya.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the Nicoya celebration because we celebrate Nicoya is part of Costa Rica. Years ago, there was like a territory between Nicaragua and Costa Rica, but it was independent. It wasn't part of
Costa
either.
Rica. Oh,
So
okay.
they voluntarily wanted to be part of Costa Rica. So we celebrate that because Guanacaste is part of Costa Rica or Nicoya. And they have some celebrations with folklore, dancing, music, like the clothes and food based on corn.
Oh,
So
okay.
they have a lot of meals and food based on corn. Yeah.
So, is there like a specific type of clothing they wear during the festival?
Yeah, like the men like dance with some, how do you say, like a handkerchief with
Oh, okay.
handkerchiefs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Scarf
And
also.
scarves, yeah, and women dance with I think like some colorful petticoats, so
Oh,
they
okay. Yeah.
dance with them like doing some move
Also, it's
with
like a
the,
couple dancing.
yeah, it's a couple dancing, right?
Nice. So, your last question now, and then one
Okay.
bonus is coming. Your three must-visit places in Costa Rica.
It could be Puerto Viejo in the Caribbean coast, Manuel Antonio in the Pacific coast, and La Fortuna in the north of Costa Rica. I think these three.
So, what is peculiar about these places?
Well, all Puerto Viejo in the Caribbean is like all the Caribbean style with the food and the music and the chilling vibe, right? And they have beautiful beaches also. In Manuel Antonio, they have like a beautiful forest nearby the beach, and it's it's the place for the monkeys and different animals. And in La Fortuna, it's a place where is the more iconic volcano of Costa Rica that has like this form, and it's they have around the volcano. They have hot springs all around,
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
it's very common people going to the hot springs and having some fun. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And your bonus question. So,
Okay.
for somebody who doesn't speak Spanish, what would be three words you will teach them? The first three words.
In Costa Rica. Okay, that's easy.
That's why it's a
Here,
bonus.
yeah, the three words could be pura vida, my. Yeah,
So, what does it
here
mean?
pura vida means everything. Pura vida means thank you. Pura vida means hi.
Oh, okay.
It's pura vida is the phrase I told you that it's translated pure life, but we use it as a slang for everything. Like how are you doing? Pura vida.
Ah, okay.
Hi, pura vida.
Okay.
How was the
Day.
trip? Pura
Yeah.
vida. How was the day? Pura vida. It's like a way of saying slang, but it can mean everything. And my is like bro or something like
Mm.
that. It's like a slang
Friend.
word
Mhm.
for people or friend, right? So pura vida my. It's that three words can that could help someone who doesn't speak Spanish here in Costa Rica.
Oh, I'm gonna try it next time.
Yeah,
So,
it can be very useful.
yeah, it's good to know. So, thank you so much for, being open to and being available to come on the show and talk about occupational therapy in Costa Rica. And also being open to having the conversation in English. I know there was a little struggle to translate certain occupational therapy words in Spanish that you would use to exactly translate them to English. But trust me, like if I was to speak Spanish, it was nearly impossible for me. So thank you. I had so much fun talking with you and also knowing about everything going on about the profession in Costa Rica, how much it has progressed over the years, and the strategic plan it has in place for the future.
No, thank you for the invitation. It was very fun and very interesting. Talking about the occupational therapy here in Costa Rica, I think it's my goal as a president of the National Association to try to other people in other countries, other territories know how occupational therapy have developed here in our country. It was very fun and it was challenging for me
Yeah.
also, but I try my best for today. And you have a friend here in Costa Rica whenever you want to come visit us, or Puerto Viejo, Fortuna, Manuel Antonio, other place you want to visit here in Costa Rica. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you for your time and pura vida.
Pura vida. Thank you, President Monge.